Today, I will tell a legend from a film crew, a story that took place within a production team. This fellow, surnamed Chen, was involved in an incident in October 2015. Little Chen, not yet graduated, was learning in the director's group of a film crew with his senior. At that time, they were filming a spy thriller, including some large-scale action scenes with fights against the enemy. For newcomers like them, they had to do everything. On one occasion, they were shooting in Zhangjiu, Zhejiang, at a place called Fairyland Residence, in the wild and remote mountains, capturing some explosive scenes. After the filming, the ground was littered with trash and debris from the props. The director arranged for Little Chen and others to clean up the set. Too exhausted, Little Chen and two extras wanted to shirk their duties and lied to the executive director that they needed to use the restroom. It was around 5 p.m. when the three of them took advantage of quietly hiding behind a small mound next to the set to sneak a smoke. I'd like to say they almost cleaned up the site afterwards. Each of the three had put in a significant effort. Feeling it was about done, they returned to the set. The monster arrived. Well, to be clear, Little Chen, fearing it was unsafe to venture too far, lazily hid in that small mound, only a 2 or 3 minute walk from the set, very close. But when the three returned to the location, one person was gone, the ground was clean, and even the craters left by the explosions had disappeared. The three thought they had gone to the wrong place, but then dismissed the idea as impossible. Although in the mountains, no matter how foolish the three adults were, they wouldn't get lost in a distance of just a few minutes. It was still daytime, but there was no help for it. The three could only search the vicinity. If the crew returned to the hotel without them, they were done for. In the desolate mountains with no food, their phone batteries were almost drained. Moreover, the mountains in October were very cold, and the sky was about to darken. Those who have been to Fairyland Residence should know it's quite damp, with occasional light rain, making it cold and hungry. But after half an hour of searching, they didn't see anyone, not even a shadow of the crew. The key was that there was no cell phone signal in the mountains at that time. There usually was, but not then. Well, with no other choice, they thought about getting out of the mountains first and then finding a car on the road. Soon, it got dark. The three wandered in the mountains. They were so hungry they could barely stand it. They dared to turn on their phone flashlights only in turns, fearing the batteries would die. All right, they entered a forest. It was already past 8, but they hadn't found their way out yet, tired, hungry, and cold, with cigarettes almost finished. Just when the three were worried, one of them, a man from Hunan named Xiao Wang, suddenly patted the shoulders of Little Chen and another man named Ale from Chaoshan, saying, "Brothers, look over there, there's light." Little Chen and Ale looked in the direction he pointed and saw a cart stall still smoking. At that moment, Little Chen was very happy. As long as there was food, he didn't think much. Why, anyone who stayed with the crew would know there were no convenience stores in the wild, and local villagers, knowing there was a film crew shooting, would use large electric tricycles to bring snacks, drinks, power banks, etc., and then set up stalls in the wild to make some money. So at that time, the three saw the stall and didn't find it strange, but were still very fortunate. So the three walked in that direction. All right, when they got a bit closer, Ale from Chaoshan suddenly pulled Little Chen and Xiao Wang back, not letting them go forward. Then they asked him what was wrong. Ale couldn't say. Anyway, he and Little Chen were very stubborn. He said he felt something was off and told them not to go there, to see what was happening. Little Chen observed carefully at that time and found that the person at the stall was really strange. He didn't use an electric light, but an oil lamp, the kind of bowl that ancient people would use, with fire on top, a bit purple, yellow with a touch of purple. At that time, Little Chen was more than 10 meters away from the stall and couldn't see what the person looked like, only long black hair, indistinguishable between male and female. But the feeling was that he didn't seem like a modern person, and the stall was similar to the past, a small wooden cart. But the stall was very long as a regular cart. The person stood in the middle of the stall, not knowing what he was cutting with his head down. Little Chen and Xiao Wang were really hungry at the time. They just wanted to say they couldn't care less. Moreover, they were all men. What were they afraid of? They wanted to buy some food and leave. At this time, Ale said again, "If you guys are going, I won't. Think about it, where are we now in this desolate mountain and forest? It's almost 9 in the evening, who would set up a stall in the forest? Even if someone came to set up a stall, how could he get such a long stall into the forest by himself? And this forest is on the mountain, we are not on the plain. Go find you, bring me some, I'm not going anyway." Well, so Little Chen and Xiao Wang thought it was really reasonable, hard to explain, hard to decide, not to eat, then find the road, let's go back and call a car, eat barbecue. Just as they were about to turn around, the climax came. Right before their eyes, many people suddenly appeared in front of the stall. How did those people come out? It was like we edit videos, with a gradual reveal. At the same time, many of the displayed oil lamps lit up. Each oil lamp was a stall, and the people who suddenly appeared turned in front of the stall, just like a market. Some men and women, old and young, were wearing clothes from the Republic of China period, some were wearing ancient costumes, but one thing in common was that their faces were unclear, and the colors of their clothes were also very plain, not bright. One person's sleeves were very long, ridiculously long. After the arm hung down, the sleeves were below the knees. What was the strangest look? There were so many people there, but there was no sound. You could only hear the sound of insects in the wild. There's a saying, right? Not afraid of God-like opponents, but afraid of pig-like teammates. At that time, Xiao Wang was so scared that he pulled Little Chen and scolded those people, cursing crazily. Before he finished scolding, the people who were browsing the stalls suddenly stopped neatly and slowly turned their heads. Wow, in an instant, Little Chen felt a fog in his mind, very dull, chest tight, and out of breath. But he still shouted to run. The 3 guys started running wildly, regardless of whether they were hungry or not. They were not afraid of being tripped by stones and stakes, so they ran desperately. I don't know how long I ran because I didn't look at my phone or ask for the time. Anyway, I ran to the mountain road that was artificially made. I couldn't run anymore. I stopped. Xiao Wang looked at the time and it was almost 11 o'clock. As for this, Little Chen also felt very strange. He knew that although the 3 people felt they had been running for a long time, they couldn't have run out of breath for more than an hour. They didn't have that kind of endurance. Moreover, they were running around in the mountains. But the phone wouldn't lie, and the time showed 10:50, almost 11 o'clock. Then the 3 sat back to back on this road. They sat there chatting and didn't dare to sleep, and no one dared to mention what had just happened. However, they were lucky at the time, and a big brother was riding a big rural motorcycle, passing by that road. In the end, the big brother took them to the highway. Because the big brother couldn't take so many people, he pushed the motorcycle to send them, and he really met a good person. On this road, The three people, the big brother just talked about their experience. How did the big brother say in their village? I did hear that someone had seen that kind of thing, but he had never seen it himself. Of course, he also comforted little Chen and the others. Maybe they were hungry and dizzy, and had hallucinations, and told them not to be afraid. In short, they finally got back to the crew, but it was strange that no one found that they were not in the crew. Of course, Xiao Chen also comforted himself. Maybe some of the crew members were filming, but they were silent, their clothes were from different eras, and the key was that they couldn't see any film and television equipment, and they didn't know how to explain it. Well, see you next story.